So I'm going to turn a threaded box. It's going to be shaped like an acorn. The nut part of the acorn is made out of a raffia nut. It's a palm tree seed. It's mostly white, but it's got some brownish red color in it. And I'll make the box, or the cap of the box, the cap of the acorn out of a it's probably boxwood. So just gonna put it in a chuck. Okay, the end of it. Turn the tenon. Cut a relief. I didn't bring my 20 TPI thread chasers. I only have my 16s. So that means it's a little bigger than I want it to be. The threads are. 344.
Speed you turn them at,
344. I would normally go a little faster, but this thread is kind of short. I think that's good enough. Of course, that just means one more cut. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to shorten the thread. The very, very end of it's a little boogered up anyhow. I want two, perhaps perhaps 3 threads. Now, I don't know how big this opening is going to be. The nut's a little smaller than most of them, but my supply is down. A guy named Gene Doran, he lives in Alaska, has been the primary supplier to the art community, woodturners included, for, I don't know, at least 20 years, probably a lot longer. He knows a lot about them. There are no palm trees growing in Alaska, but that's where he lives and that's where he collects them. He probably orders them in quantity and then shucks them, dries them. Let's see what happens. You may have to switch to a smaller tool here. This, man, this is, you know, I don't know, he told me once, I mean, there's 1,200 or 1,500 different kinds of palm trees. The tagua nut is the most commonly known one. Giant palm tree seeds come from Micronesia or Palau. They're fairly common. The rest of these are not typical. So you see the brown there? Can you see it? Not very well.
Camera's not working.
Oh, okay. Well, we just won't talk to it anymore.
I can't get it working.
It's, you know, trees are made out of cellulose and lignum, primarily, well, and beside the water. And these nuts are cellulose. They're almost 100% cellulose. They have a germ in them. Sometimes they are cracked internally. It's part of the drying process. Just going to check and see. Yeah, we'll go a little further. It's always embarrassing when you try to make the inside bigger than the outside. Okay, try my little, oh, there it is. Try my little scraper here. Okay, we're not going to do any more, just to be on the safe side. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not even going to sand it. It really, just like a tagua nut, you get a lot of good finish off of it. We're strobing. Okay. I'm going to relieve this front edge a little bit. Now, So what I've done is I've hollowed it out, I've cut the thread. I'm going to round the very first part of this because later on when I put the lid on it, it's going to be difficult to get at that edge, and so I do that now. I think one more cut. We may do it with a different tool though. Sand it now, won't be able to get at it easily later. This is 220. $400. The next part of it's going to be made out of boxwood. This tenon I'm making, it's for later.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Okay?
I forgot to start it.
It's all right. So I'm going to cut off some of this and save it for a rainy day. And what I want to leave in there is enough for the lid and enough to cut the next thread on so I can reverse turn the lid. This is the Korean boxwood I bought it on eBay. Got, I don't remember, 600-700 pounds of it. For 300 bucks.
Oh, wow.
And I had to pay the shipping, so it was still significant. It had been brought in 30 years earlier by a then young woman who was a music major and intending to make flutes out of it. It sat in a garage in New Jersey, cracked up some. And then I got it.
That just a scraper?
Yeah, round nose scraper. Oh, where do you, here?
That's not working.
I know. Oh, this one. It's a round nose scraper. It's made a little narrower and this straight on it because I make a lot of boxes. I better test it. You know, there are a lot of rules that prey upon wood turners. You can't make the inside bigger than the outside. You can take it off, you can't put it back. So that's the second law there that I was just worrying about. That's it. Okay. I'm going to holler it out a little. That's a technical term. Okay, round the front end just a hair, eases the entry of the chaser. Looks like we've got a knot in the important area. Knots are plenty hard enough to chase a thread in. Unfortunately, they're usually harder than the rest of the wood, and so they can slow down the giddy up on your chaser. We're gonna chase this at about 400. I may go a hair over or a hair less. Okay. Everybody ready? We're going to chase the thread. Oh, still a little high.
Anthony, I have a question.
All right.
What is the advantage and why do you use the armrest instead of just going straight on the tool rest?
Going across the tool rest is a little, requires a little more muscle. It has more friction. You know, we're just going across here.
Oh,
Also, because this is one extra linkage further out, in other words, this is attached to this, which is attached to this, there's a little more flexibility. See, later on, as you get the thread going, you have to permit the thread to pull. When you first start, that's kind of up to you. You have to get the correct speed going. But later, I can relax and just let it pull. There is still an advantage for me to use this sometimes, and I do it at the end. Sometimes if I get a little drunken, that means it's like that. I can straighten it out with this. I can also destroy it with this. When I first learned to chase a thread, I learned going straight across. And I went to Utah, and there was a guy named Bill Jones, maybe Batty did it too, who used this and said you have to do it. And so I tried. I bought one and took it home and tried it, and I didn't like it. I put it away and continued chasing threads across the rest, and then maybe 6 months or a year later I tried it again, and now I'm comfortable with it. I really think it's a good thing.
okay.
Okay, I've reached a point the thread has begun. However, the threads have crested. I've made the full shape of the thread is there, that triangular shape. And you cannot resize a thread, or you don't want to resize a thread with the chaser, because it'll cause the top of the thread to crumble. And so I'm going to use something to take off the top surface of the thread. Chase some more. I bet that's it right there. What do you think? No? Huh. Okay, so thread's done. Still need to dress up a few things. I never cleaned up this surface, and so I'm going to make certain I've turned it nice and flat. I normally would use a big skew. All I'm doing is making it flat. Okay, I'm going to cut a little chamfer on the lead thread. And I think I'm going to hollow it a little more. Okay. I have to do it again. Just a little bit. Okay. I'm not going to sand the inside of it because I don't have to. I'll put a little mark inside just for the fun of it though. I have to sand the front of it. Never going to get at it again. First thing I'm going to do is use this as a chuck to turn the rest of the nut. Now, I need to touch it again. And so rather than move my rest, I'm just going to go across the ways.
TPI did you say it was?
16.
16?
16. That's, I mean, this is getting a little small. Most of those are done at 16. The ear rings are done at 20 and probably should have been done a little smaller, 28 or something.
Wow. Where's that tray? Ed? Where did you show these?
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to sharpen that one by hand. I don't like it. So you can see what's underneath and what the original outside looked like. This material has no grain, it's fairly hard, and so it scrapes as well as it cuts. One of the problems you can have with it, well, there's two problems in my opinion. One is if you try to cut too fast, it will shatter. It's not really brittle, it's pretty tough, but too fast and you're done. The other thing is, now I've never tried to put a sealing coat on it, so that might make a difference. It never finishes moving. I made a pocket watch with it once as the lid, and it eventually just split from the humidity in my pocket. Okay, stands very easily. I don't put a finish per se on the nut. I just buff it later on the beel. The wood gets a flood coat. I flood it with rattle can shellac, give it about 10 seconds, then wipe it all off, and then buff it. Okay, so I have to, see how deep my lid is. Pencil? I don't have a pencil. Oh, I lied. Never mind. I'm sorry. Okay. This is merely to mark it. This has a chunk out of it, so I'm going to have to make it a little smaller. See? I think we ought to measure it. What happens if you measure it? Okay. It's about that thick right now. Oh, that thick. Now it was my hope to use this end over here as a chuck. Still got a little bit on the top that's not quite round. Tiny, tiny. There's our friendly knot. Have to do a little more. Who knows what an acorn, all acorns in the whole world look like? A squirrel does. That's probably about it. And so I put a thingy on the front of mine. Who's going to say that's not the way they grow?
Put a what on it?
A thingy.
Penny?
Yeah, can't you see that little thingy sticking out there? This is a thingy acorn. Okay, slow it down a little. So I still got a little mark on it. if you're going to put thingies on acorns, you have to put them on the front because the thickness of the wood, like it's thin here, right, where I hollowed it out, but here there's threads inside of it, and so you can't make that any smaller. So there's plenty of room to put thingies on it. I'm tired of that now. Okay. Okay, so we're done, aren't we? So I don't know if it's big enough to yeah, I'm gonna have to move my piece of wood. I don't know if I'll have to put a new one on or not. See, it's a good thing I put that tenon on there. Around the front, just like last time. Actually, probably need to take off a hair more. This is the relief at the back. This thread has to be functional, it doesn't have to be pretty. If you make it pretty, maybe you can use it again next time. If you can get the piece back in the same place in the chuck. I'm going to do that. Okay. Here we go. What?
What speed?
364. Okay, it started, not quite there. Same as before, it's not crested. It's not actually crowned yet. And I'm going to have to take some off later anyhow. Might as well do it now while it's stopped. Okay, so it's still just grabbing on the front. Oh, I guess I don't need to. I'm actually taking off quite a bit. It's that chamfer at the front that's probably catching.
Camera on the male thread.
Chamfer both of them, and it's the female that has the chamfer that is, it's only getting started, it's not finishing. You can't put it all the way on. Okay. I used to do most of these tops with a, I don't know, like right here from the lid it would go like that. So there's a knob on top, but I quit doing that. I like this suggestion of a knob. That'll work. Remember the very, very center of an object right here? It doesn't move, and you know, it's when you spin it, it's not really moving very much, so you have to do it by hand. Good. Okay. Wood as hard as this, you probably could sand it a little more. I used to do 600 all the time on hard woods, real hard woods. But I don't know what's that. Okay. Just shaking. it'll brighten up quite a bit. I don't know if you can see it right here. That's the germ of the nut. I don't know what these brown things are. They're just always there.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Can you explain these?
Sure. These are just nuts that I've got around. I had a magic medicine nut, and I had one of these that I'd use to make an acorn, but I sold them, and so that's all. I mean, I don't have very many of these left. I have a lot of these. These are the shell of an American oil palm nut, and they are just hard. They will dull the steel I turn with in 20 seconds or 15 seconds. And so normally when I, like if I travel, I carry 5 bowl gouges, or spindle gouges, are all ground the same. And so in a minute or 2 minutes, you can just dull them all, and you have to go sharpen them, come back and do it again.
Wow.
I've never tried carbide. And what's different between this one and these 3 is these are just the shells of the nut. It's an American oil palm nut. If you've ever had, what is it, those ready packs, microwave packs of popcorn, they have oil in them. It's almost certainly palm oil. If you buy salad dressing and it just says vegetable oil or something, that's probably palm oil. Lots of different kinds. So the woods, there's cocobolo. This is that flute wood. I don't remember what it is. This is hickory. These 2 are beetle nuts. And because of the shape and size of the beetle nut, I couldn't make the body out of them, so I just used them to make the cap. And they're very pretty. I really like the way those work out. This is boxwood. I think the other one is dogwood. This is a different kind of tagua nut. As you can see, they're fairly similar. This is a forest. I want to say black, but I could be wrong. And I mean, it's just all of them are different, and they're just very interesting. Magic medicine nut is one of my favorites. It's kind of a light gray with fairly dark brown specks in it. And each of the specks, they aren't just dots, they're like little worms, and they're almost hollow there. And so if you sand them rough, that will you'll end up with rough places on the nut. These are Manila palm tree seeds, and I've made little earrings. And you can, I used the eye cut off of a fishing hook and super glued those in there. I sold some of them. I've got 3 sets left. Most of them are Osage orange. These are cherry. I just love Osage orange. It's so nice. It's hard. It's ours, right? I mean, it's, yeah. Is there more?
Okay. Huh?
Is that good?
I have a question, but I want to also invite anybody else to unmute yourself and ask a question. But I wonder, how do you sharpen thread chasers?
So, my opinion is this is a kludge. There's
This camera pointed at those.
this one. Okay, like that works.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is, you call it the male chaser. I don't know, is that the outside chaser? Okay. I sharpened this on a grinding wheel.
Just a little glare on it. There you go. Yeah.
What I do actually is use the Wolverine, just the pocket, the arm with the pocket in it, and I put that in the pocket and I lay this down on the wheel. And it keeps it very sharp, it's very nice, You don't want to
You don't wanna knock those off.
You don't want to create a jump, a little diving board on the end. You can't hardly hurt them. So you don't want to cut away the center part and then end up with this sticking up, because that's just an invitation to have catches. It also, I mean, I don't know how old this is. This is a year and a half. I have tried putting it on a diamond hone and doing this with it. And it will work, it just doesn't work real well. Now this is the inside chaser, the female chaser. You can see I've cut it away. This was all one big mass of metal here, and I cut it away so that I can get into small openings. Let's see, I cut my 20 down to quarter by 20. Instead of using a tap, I can do quarter by 20 screws, bolts. This is actually a little smaller. Now here's the big difference. This one works fairly well to put it on a stone and do that with it. I hold it down. I don't know if you can tell, there's a little ledge here, and that goes up against the diamond hone, and so you can just, everything's nice and solid and it works well. And so here's the big deal. This is my 4th male chaser. This is my 1st female chaser. And so what do? You have to buy a whole new set, right? Well, I got in touch with the Sorby rep once, and he gave me 2 extra just male chasers. He didn't sold them to me. He didn't give them to me, but it saved me half the money. So this is my last one. Other tools I have here. This is a small side cutting scraper. I use it just to cut into the side of an opening. You can cut on the front, but I don't do it very too much. This is Enco USA before they went away. I don't know what they became, but this was that a 16th? No, that's probably an 1/8. It's 3 feet long or 2 feet long, and it was only this wide. And so I just cut it off, ground that on there, and ground a tang. Works real well. Thing I put my the gewgaws on the inside of the nutshell is this. This is a point tool. What's different from what I've seen for sale is I think they're 1/2 inch normally. There's this enormous thing, and these angles are very obtuse. They're blunt kind of, and so this is much more acute, and this is ever so slightly rounded. Each one of those cutting edges is a little bit rounded. This is Ipe, this handle. It's the only use I found for good use for Ipe.
eBay, yeah.
I do have one more here. I know, here it is. This is the only other special tool. This was originally a tool I used for cutting around behind an opening to create a relief for when I cut the female thread, the inside thread. However, I started using it for all kinds of other things. This tool was originally a set of 5 Chinese miniature tools that Charlie wasn't selling and trying to give to everybody in the world. And so I just heated it up, bent it, and then ground it. And I'm going to have to do it again. This is getting real short out here.
Yeah, have you tried to turn walnuts or pecans? Are they turnable?
I'm sure they're turnable. I've seen them turned. I have not done it.
I have a quick question for Anthony.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of what kind of woods can turn threads besides the boxwood.
Well, the harder and the more close-grained the wood, the better. So boxwood is just wonderful, quite hard, and it's very close-grained. Osage orange is quite hard. It has an open grain though, but if you're careful with it, it's hard enough and it doesn't matter. Hickory, let's see how I did on it. Okay, how small will it get?
Oh, you have to get pretty close.
Okay.
Oh, you can reach it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Can you see?
Up just a little. Yeah, okay.
You see on the inside there, there's a little, like a missing tooth.
It doesn't focus well enough.
Okay. Anyway, there's a little spot between two growth rings where it broke, where the thread broke between the two growth rings. Right there.
Back up just a little. Nah, it's not getting.
Okay. I mean, it's not bad. Some woods, like soft maple, it will start crumbling. The thread will crumble, and for me, it's almost impossible to get it going again. And you can't, I can't, make a good thread most of the time. You know, it doesn't mean I can't sometimes, but palm tree, it's horrible stuff. It has very hard, short fibers mixed in with very, very soft, punky things. And that combination of hard and soft is just bad. Ipe ought to be hard enough. It's pretty close grained. It's just terrible. And so cocobolo, all the rosewoods, you can chase a thread in lots of things. With practice, you can also chase them in real soft things. Like I've done box elder, I've done big leaf maple burl. And I mean, you have to be careful, you have to cut a little slower. I sometimes put wax on a thread as I'm working it. It permits the chaser to slide better. Maple would be good for that. Maple has this real dry feel to it.
Does mineral oil help?
I've never tried. I just have
You
that.
know, just tapping wood, you know, and put mineral oil on it.
Uh-huh. I've never tried. Might be worth trying. The African blackwood, hard, right? 1.1, 1.2 specific gravity, grain's quite fine, but it's sticky. It has an oil in it that'll pull my chaser, and so sometimes I put wax on that. You can't put wax on lignum or verowood. They will
Reject it.
well, they'll mix.
Yeah.
It will mix the wax that's coming out of the wood and the wax you put on, and it makes a gum. It's really nasty stuff. There are several different ways to chase a thread. You can chase it with the it's not going to work now, is it?
Down more. There you go.
Okay. You can chase the thread straight in. You can also touch the thread with the bottom of the tool, and then as it starts following, bring it up and cut. And you can also come up from below. This is the way the British do it. And they all work. They're all good for different things. The shell, or yeah, the nut, mostly I cut from below like this. And I also did that with the boxwood. I've actually started changing it a little. I used to go just dead straight, and then started coming down into it, and lately have been going up.
Also on center.
Real close, but if you're cutting under, of course, you're below center. And if you touch it like this, it's nice for. I try to do that close to the center. And then when you bring it up, all you're doing is choosing to use a different part of the tool, and so you're still at center.